And so it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome Lord Digby Jones tonight, interviewed by John Plender. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And can I just thank you on a very wet evening for giving up your time to come and share a few thoughts and ideas. I'm thrilled to bits that you're all here. I didn't expect this many, and it's very, very kind of you. I would just thank John as well for giving up his time. I actually have subscribed to the FT every day of my life since I was 18. And every day I take the Times and the FT, and only when the Times wasn't publishing in that period have I not done that. And I'm one of these poor sad bastards, actually, that also kept the newsagent to save them when I'm on holiday. And when I come back, I have, 2 weeks of pink looking at me. And it's never letting me down. I don't agree with all of it, but it stimulates my thought. And the one thing I was told when I joined the CBI, and my own experience has proved it, if not in the opinion or in the view columns, but if in the news part of the FT, it is the only newspaper I've ever found anywhere in the world that if they say it, it actually happened. Because it is double corroborated. Well, it was, it still is. And it is a very, very good reputation to have, and I thank you tonight for coming here. I'd also like to thank HSBC for sponsoring, being one of the main sponsors of Asia House. I say that, of course, because they pay my wages too. But I'm proud to chair their International Advisory Board, and it is no coincidence when we're talking about Asia what the H and the S stand for. And it's very, very good, because you see, I know it's on your strapline, on your materials, but this is Asia's century. The 19th century belonged to us. The 20th century belonged to America. This is Asia's time. And if we are, as the United Kingdom, and indeed as the developed world, going to put the ball in the net, we need places like Asia House where they can be the catalyst, the driver, the reason. And it's a privilege to come and share that tonight. But they can't do it without people who write the check. Simple as that. And so I do thank all the sponsors and HSBC as well. Interesting that we have friends from Australia here, because you don't play cricket anymore, but if you did, much the same as India, really. I'm a regular visitor there. I lecture in the University of Western Australia in Perth, and I'm back over to do some work in Sydney as well in February, March next year. And to see how that nation, with all its sense of entrepreneurship and free drive, has embraced Asia is a wonder to see. And quite the challenge is there, quite how they deal with this enormous elephant in the room, a few thousand miles north, taking out, buying Australia's raw materials by the pound, is going to be one of the great challenges and fascinations, actually, of the next couple of decades. And I will watch that as a friend, which I am. You heard in that lovely introduction that I was Minister of State for Trade and Investment for some 18 months. And I am still the only minister this nation has ever had that didn't belong to the party of government. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm a crossbench peer. Everybody knows my constituency. It's not Tory or Liberal or Labour, it's business, the wealth creation of the nation. And I was in the Lords today, actually. I said to the Queen the other day, I hate name droppers. And I was in the Lords earlier today, fighting for business as well. But it was that day in June of 2007 that the then 2-day-old Prime Minister, well, he wasn't 2 days old, you understand. Ed Balls was. But no, he was, he asked to see me. And I actually thought he was going to take a brief from me on skills, because as you heard, I was United Kingdom Skills Envoy, and I did a lot of pro bono work with adult illiteracy and numeracy, and I really did. I went down armed with a file full of all my work on skills. I really did. And Gordon said, you've been going on for years about we've never had a Minister for Trade who actually wanted to travel, who actually got out and banged the drum, and who didn't want to be moved to DEFRA. So on that basis, here's your chance, go and do it. He said, there'll be two conditions. He said, I want you to give up everything you do, all your money earning. I said, all of it? He said, all of it. He said, do you want to ring Pat, my wife? I said, no, I want to ring my bank manager, actually. And he said, and the other thing, of course, is you're going to join the party. And I said, well, there are two conditions. The answer is yes, actually, Gordon, I'll do it for my country, but there are two conditions, and one is I won't join the party. And business doesn't do party politics. Business will work with the groove with any democratically elected government, and on that basis, to make a real success of the job, I ain't doing it. And I said, don't take it personally, mate. I said, I wouldn't join the other lot either. I believe it should transcend the factionalism of party politics. And I said, and the other condition is I'm going in 15 months' time. You what? I said, yeah. I said, you don't get it, do you? I said, it was Harry S. Truman who took over from Franklin Delano Roosevelt after peace in Europe in May 1945, but before peace in Japan in August of 45. And FDR died in office, and Wilson took over. And in his inauguration address on that fine day in Washington in a late American spring, he said, it is remarkable what you can achieve when you don't care who gets the credit. And I'm not doing this job to get credit. I have no political ambition. I don't want to be promoted. I shall do the job for a limited period of time and I shall go. And on the day we go, everybody will know it. So that it's not you've sacked me or I've gone off in a huff. And I shall do the job. And if we pull it off, my successor and forevermore, the one job that can be a businessman or woman who comes in to do the job and not a party politician. And he actually delivered that. And I'll stand up with Candy because he got many, many faults. But he actually delivered what he said he'd do in that regard, and I did too. So much so that my successor was Mervyn Davies, now Lord Davies, who was the chairman of Standard Chartered. His successor is now Stephen Green, Lord Green, who was the chairman of HSBC. And I would hope when Stephen packs it in, it would be great in my view if the next one was a woman. And the one after that would be fabulous if it was somebody who may be British but whose mum and dad wasn't born in this country. Because that is us. As a country, we are globally engaged. We have a reputation around the world of being an open, free market. It's the best-selling tool we have. And I think the Trade Minister should be emblematic of that. But as I left him on that day in June, 4 years ago, he said, make a note of this number, Digby. I said, what's that? He said, it's my personal mobile. He said, because I think you're going to upset a lot of people. And he said, don't abuse it, but you can use it. And he gave it to me. Well, a few days later, I was down in UKTI in Victoria Street. And it would be very wrong of me, actually, to tell you who said this, but Sir Brian Bender said, good morning. and he said, this is your car and driver. I said, I'm not getting into that. Why not? Because it's not made in Britain. And he said, why does that matter? When we came back from his funeral, I said, you don't get it, do you? I said, if we want a car which we don't make in this country, for instance, we don't make people movers in Britain, fine, fully understand that. But when we do, we should. And what really annoys me is we wouldn't be having this conversation if this was in France or Germany or Japan or America. It just would not cross their minds. And here we are, you want me to get into a car made in Tokyo. I said, this isn't nationalistic. I have no problem getting into a Toyota made in Burnaston in Derbyshire, a Honda made in Swindon, a Nissan made in Sunderland, a Jaguar owned by Indians, a Vauxhall made in Ellesmere Port owned by Americans, a BMW in this country owned by Germans. I don't care where the ownership is. In fact, it would be great to get in one that supports the idea of inward investment in our nation. But I'm going to have it made by the men and women of this nation who pay your and my wages. Period. What do you want? I said, I'll have a little Jaguar 2-litre diesel X-Type made in Liverpool, 19 grand. You can't have one of those. Why not? It's not on the list. What an idiot. So I said, I am. You're not. I am. I thought, I'm not winning this. So I quietly went out and I made a phone call. Now, I must have been on Gordon's short dial, because obviously the name came up on the screen, because he actually answered the phone, "Good morning, Digby." Now, what I didn't know was this was the morning that Northern Rock went bust. So there, in the cabinet room of the Prime Minister of the fifth biggest economy on earth, was the Prime Minister, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Business Secretary, the Chairman of the FSA, the Governor of the Bank of England, and the whole board of Northern Rock. And I said, "It's about my car." I got my Jag anyway. And so that is very symptomatic in my mind about one of the major routes to fixing Britain in Asia's century. We have to be competitive internationally. To do that, we have to skill our people and we have to trade around the world. And 1 in 5 of the adults in this country cannot read to the standard expected of an 11-year-old. I'll repeat that, 20% of the adults in Britain are functionally illiterate. And before anybody says that's what you get from immigration, the average adult illiterate in Britain is white, male, and 26 years old. 1 in 3 of the adults in this nation cannot add up to 3-figure numbers. 1/3 of the adults in this country are functionally innumerate. And we want to compete in Asia's century, do we? And then if we're going to make the most of these wonderful things that we make from half of every Airbus that ever flies, ever, anywhere in the world, half of every one was made in the United Kingdom. The wings are made in Broughton in North Wales, the undercarriages by Messier Doughty in Gloucester, the avionics by lots of small businesses all over Brum and Manchester, put together down by GKN and Airbus and BAE Systems down in Bristol. And under the wings of the greatest and best aero engines you'll find on earth, and that's Rolls-Royce, made in Derby. Now the Germans, they make the fuselage. Not a lot of technology in a fuselage, really. And the French screw it together. But no, the clever stuff. The bit that gets it up there, keeps it there and brings it down again, all made in our country. If we're going to get a sense of belief so that we can compete, we need skilled people, an open trade, supported by a strategy for manufacturing, for financial services, for creative industries, whatever it may be, supported by government procurement, where, yes, you put it all out to tender, but you do it like the French do it, and you do it like the Germans do it, and the Americans do it, so that you actually encourage people to invest here, to skill up here, and to work here. So I'm looking forward to the next few minutes. Can I just, one little word on the book. I was approached in the April of 2010 by John Wiley & Son, the publishers. And they came to me and said, we thought you might like to put all these ideas down. We don't want an autobiography. We actually want a book about fixing the country. I said, I'm far too busy. And they said, well, we'll pay you a non-returnable advance. I said, I found the time. And it's been very, very successful. It's probably exceeded expectations of both publisher and author 2 or 3-fold from what we thought it would be, so I consider myself a very lucky lad. Never done it before. I lost my publishing virginity doing this. And so much so that I've given all my advance and also all my proceeds to ladies fighting breast cancer, because their need is far greater than mine, and Pat and I have 1 or 2 dear friends who are sadly no longer with us through that dreadful disease. So if I can use the success of this to hopefully make a difference, then it's been worthwhile. So if you do buy it afterwards, well, put it the other way, if you don't buy it afterwards, I know where you live. And if you do buy it afterwards, every penny you part with will go, I promise you, straight to a fabulous charity. So that's enough from me. Thank you indeed for coming. And now we're going to have a chat together, are we not?
We are indeed.
Thanks very much.